Hello and welcome to the Cornell Hotel Sustainability Benchmarking Index 2021 Hotel Report tutorial. I am Remashini Jagarajan, one of the authors of the CHSB report, and I am going to take you through this tutorial. This tutorial is for team members of companies who have participated in this year's CHSB index, and its aim is to help you understand more about CHSB and how to understand your property's benchmarking reports. In this video, we will start with a quick background on CHSB and the index. We will then move on to the CHSB 2021 Hotel Report, the information it contains, and how to interpret it so you can make the most out of participation. Finally, we will take a quick glance on the participant list for CHSB 2021. CHSB is an effort that began in 2010 to solve several challenges within the hotel industry and has evolved over time. This year we have over 21,000 hotels participating from 23 international hotel chains. The fundamental purpose of CHSB is to define common benchmarks for energy, water and carbon emissions for the hotel industry and for hotels to be able to understand their comparative performance in markets as well as globally. There are three main phases in the CHSB process. Firstly, data collection, where each year we collect hotel information including energy, water, occupancy and other attributes from participants who submit their data in bulk. The latest data for CHSB 2021 is for the performance in calendar year 2019. Next, we take the data, run several validity tests and finalize figures with participants. Finally, we structure and segment the database in order to create the benchmarking reports as well as the aggregate public dataset. The results are published as confidential benchmarking reports for each participant property, which is what we will focus on in this video. In addition, the aggregate data is published by the Cornell School for Hotel Administration, Center for Hospitality Research, in a freely available report and tool which shows the range of performance across specific markets, countries, regions, and globally according to climate zone. For CHSB 2021, the final public dataset has over 500 geographies and over 15,000 properties. At the time of reporting, this is not yet available. The latest version that is currently available is CHSB 2020, with the latest report due to be launched by Q4 2021. We will now turn to the individual hotel benchmarking report that every single participant receives, which confidentially benchmarks the performance of your hotel or portfolio of hotels among peers within your market and segments. You are currently looking at CHSB 2021, which is data for 2019. The report is structured in 6 separate sections. The first section is called Identifiers or Segmentation Information. This is the basic profile information for the hotel. It contains the following information. Your participant code is a combination of the participating brand and the unique identifier that brand uses. For Marriott, it is the Marsha code. For Holiday Inn, the Holidex code. For Hilton, it is the Inn code and so forth. We then have the hotel name, address, the brand, hotel code, which is the unique identifier that brand uses, the country it's located in, the city, the metro area, which is defined as the metropolitan statistical area, a greater national capital area, or a greater metropolitan region designated either by postal code or by city within the metro area. CHSB region is an indicator we use for benchmarking properties which is available in the public report. We then have certain coded information based on your property's location. Firstly, the climate zones. Climate Zone 1 is based on Köppen-Geiger climate zone, which is the most commonly used GIS mapping of climate zones across the world and is based on temperature and precipitation. However, this climate zone can be limited in temperate climates. So we include a secondary climate zone 2, which is based on Bailey's ecoregions of the world. This climate zone methodology is based on the forestry cover, which gives a more granularity to define altitudes in temperate climates. We then have three further climate-based indicators. Firstly, the relative humidity, based on a breakdown of relative percentage of relative humidity. Second, HDD, which is heating degree days, and finally CDD, which is cooling degree days. These are measurements designed to quantify the demand for energy needed to heat or cool a building. We take the number of heating degree days and cooling degree days in the calendar year, in this case 2019. Then we have information relating to the hotel type. The stars are based on Expedia if available or estimated to the best match. The asset class is either full service or limited service. A full service hotel is a hotel that generally has a restaurant, meeting space and other amenities, whereas limited service does not. Then we have the STR market segment, namely luxury, upper upscale, upper mid-scale segment or economy. Laundry is an indication of whether the main laundry wash is included in the data or not. A yes indicates that the majority of the main laundry wash, such as linens, are included in the utility bills for energy and water. And no means it is outsourced and that data is not included. This is important to know when comparing properties, as laundry is a significant user of energy and water. Finally, the location type refers to the location of the hotel or the type. For example, a bed and breakfast, a convention style hotel, an airport hotel, a suburban hotel, an urban hotel, or a resort. Next, we have more specific information about the property. This includes the number of guest rooms, followed by the floor area provided in both square meters and square feet, total number of occupied rooms in the year, and the representative occupancy rate, then the HCMI and HWMI ratios. HCMI stands for the Hotel Carbon Measurement Initiative and HWMI stands for the Hotel Water Measurement Initiative. These initiatives are methodologies developed by the hotel industry which provide a common approach to calculating the carbon or water footprint of one guest night and one interval of meeting space for a guest. The ratios you see here refer to the proportion of the hotel's floor area which is allocated to rooms versus meeting space for the purpose of calculating HCMI and HWMI. In this case, 97% of the floor area is allocated to rooms carbon footprint, leaving 3% for meetings carbon footprint and 98% for rooms water footprint, leaving 2% for meetings water footprint. More information about this is available in the guidance document as well as through the Sustainable Hospitality Alliance. The next section is validity testing. Validity testing is a series of tests that were performed on the datasets submitted to identify and address data integrity issues in order to improve reporting and accuracy. A total of 15 tests are undertaken for each property's data. If the data fails a particular test, then benchmarks for the area or areas failed are not provided. In addition, we identify missing data, which also means that benchmarks are not provided. A property in some cases may fail because data is too high or too low outside the fences we have set. Fences are the defined boundary of lower limit and upper limit determined through CHSB data, which represent the cutoff values for upper and lower outliers in the dataset. The first is the test of whether there is a major renovation in the hotel or was not open for all 12 months. Hotels that underwent significant renovation or closed all or significant part of the floor area for a portion of the year will be flagged as fail and not benchmarked. Second is the energy fences per occupied room, meaning the total energy divided by total occupied rooms. If the hotel's energy per occupied room is outside of the defined boundary, the hotel will be flagged as fail and not benchmarked. Then we have energy fences per square meter, means the total energy for 2019 divided by the floor area. Similarly, if the energy per square meter value is outside of the defined boundary, the hotels will be flagged as fail. Missing electricity data if flagged as fail means that some of the electricity data were missing. Likewise, if missing occupancy data flagged as fail, that means some of the occupancy data were missing. If the hotel's occupancy level were beyond the defined boundary, occupancy fences will be flagged as fail. Missing water data, if flagged as fail, means that some of the water data were missing. Then we have only one energy source, means the property only indicated one source of energy for calculating total energy. This does not necessarily indicate incorrect data, however, it just demonstrates that only one energy source was indicated. The water fences per occupied room means the total water divided by total occupied rooms if outside of the defined boundary will be flagged as fail. Also, the water fences per square meter, meaning the total water for 2019 divided by the floor area if outside of the defined boundary will be flagged as fail. We then have some additional tests to determine if the floor area is accurate or not. First, the fences of floor area to the number of guest rooms. This means that if the gross floor area divided by the number of guest rooms outside of the defined boundary will be flagged as fail. Then the fences of average net floor area to the number of guest rooms where the net floor area is just the rooms and corridors divided by the number of guest rooms, which is basically the average room size, if beyond the defined boundary will be flagged as fail. Followed by the ratio of rooms to meeting space, the hotel should not have the vast majority of its floor area defined as meeting space or else will be flagged as fail. Then we have an overall variance test which does not necessarily indicate poor performance or incorrect data. However, it just demonstrates that there is a large variance among one energy source over the course of the 12 months. The duplicate participant is an indicator of whether the hotel has been duplicated because it was provided from a separate data source. In this case, we only output the data once. The validity tests are done in a way that if a certain validity test fails, it will then trigger a not benchmarked in the comparative performance. This is to ensure that only reliable and valid datasets are being used for benchmarking. For example, if it does not pass the validity test for the floor area, the energy and water intensity per square meter will not be generated as there is a risk it is not correct. However, if the occupied rooms, occupied room fences, energy fences, and electricity data pass the validity test, then it would generate energy or water intensity per occupied room because those were okay even though the floor area might have been incorrect. After validity testing, we then arrive at the actual performance metrics for each category, namely energy, water, and carbon. If the checkboxes in the performance metrics are an X, it is because they were not available, or if there are question marks, it is because they were not able to be generated due to missing information. For energy, all energy data received have been harmonized into the unit of kilowatt hours. We then convert uniformly to carbon emission based on emission factor for the latest year. Total carbon emissions for 2019 in kilograms of CO2 equivalent. Please note that the emission factors used here may differ from the emission factors your company uses for its own calculations. The list of emission factors sources can be found in the appendix section of the guidance document, which is freely available along with the public dataset through the Cornell Center for Hospitality Research or on the Greenview website. Then we have total water in cubic meters for 2019. In addition to annual totals, we also provide energy usage per occupied room, energy usage per square meter, energy usage per square feet, percentage of renewable energy that has been generated either on-site or off-site, water usage per occupied room, water usage per square meter, water usage per square feet, HWMI footprints, HCMI footprints, carbon emissions per room, carbon emissions per occupied room, carbon emissions per square meter, and carbon emissions per square feet. All of these pieces of information are for your reference. However, if any of the information is deemed to be incorrect, please contact us at support@greenviewportal.com for further assistance. Going forward, please ensure that correct data are submitted in the representative systems where the data were pulled from and shared. The timelier and more accurate the data you provide, the better benchmarks and the better value you will get out of this exercise. Moving on to the comparative performance, that is the benchmarking. On the left in the first column, we have two types of segmentation for which properties are compared for energy, water, and carbon. The first is market specific, that groups hotels within the specific market of the metropolitan statistical area, national capital region, or greater metropolitan area. The second is based on the two climate zones described earlier. For ComSat groupings, we have three groupings specific to markets. One is grouping by the STR segment, the second is grouping by asset class, and third by Expedia stars. What does this mean? For example, the STR segment for this hotel is in the upscale STR market segment. This means that it will be benchmarked with hotels that are in the Sydney, Australia metro area among upscale hotels which do not have laundry and based on whether the property is a resort or not. Similarly, asset class will be the same benchmarking within the grouping of those who are full service hotels, and stars will be those among 4-star hotels. For climate zones, we have more granularity because we have large data sets to pull from. This means for the first one, climate zone 1, according to Geiger, which benchmark hotels within the same climate zone, within the same asset class and the same number of stars. For example, this benchmark will be generated for those in the humid subtropical Geiger climate zone for full service hotels which have 4 stars and don't have laundry. Second is the benchmark within the same climate zone 1, within the same hotel type versus location type and the same number of stars. We repeat the same for climate zone 2. Then we have two types of intensity metrics. The first is the per occupied room, which is the total amount of energy, carbon or water for the calendar year of 2019 divided by the total number of occupied rooms for the same calendar year. The second metric is per square meter, which then takes the same total amount of energy, carbon or water, divided by the square meters or square feet of the property for the year. We have the COM set size, which means the number of hotels within the same grouping that are included. In this case, for example, if you look at the energy section, 284 and 306 represents the number of hotels in climate zone 1, same as the class, the same number of stars and same laundry designation. There are 306 per square meter and 284 per occupied room. You can see here that we have a decile tiering. Deciles are a marking of the 10th percentile. A 9th decile means that a property is performing in the second worst decile, and the top decile means it is the best. You can see then the data bars will correspond. The 6th decile is better than the 8th decile. The 5th decile is better than the 6th decile, and so forth. This property is generally performing somewhere between the 3rd and 6th decile in energy. However, in some areas it is performing a little worse. Here you can see that while there are different concepts in different groupings or for different areas, you can see general trends for which per occupied room and per square meter. Similarly, for water per occupied room and per square meter, we have a similar result where the property, while performing in the middle of the energy and carbon performance, it is at the top point of the water performance. Finally, we have the legend at the end of each page, which explains in more detail each of the types of names and terms used in each section. For more information on the fences, validity testing processes, and the overall guidance, you can visit the CHSB guidance document, which is freely available along with the public dataset through the Cornell Center for Hospitality Research or via the link from www.greenview.sg. As mentioned, at the time of recording, the latest version available is CHSB 2020, and this will be updated in due course. We would like to take this opportunity to thank all our partners and participants from hotel companies and hotel owners who have contributed to CHSB 2021. We would also like to thank the members of our industry advisory group who guide the project and its development. We will not be publishing a CHSB index in 2022 as data from 2020 is impacted by the global pandemic. We are looking forward to incorporating your comments and feedback for CHSB 2023 as we continue to improve the dataset as we have done for the past 10 years. Please help us spread the word by encouraging your peers to participate. The higher the participation rate, the stronger the dataset and the more meaningful are the benchmarks for the industry as we all work toward improving our energy, water and carbon performance. Thank you for listening. Please feel free to email us at support@greenviewportal.com if you have any questions.